In most elections, we vote for the Democrat or the Republican, but both parties will continue to grow government in their own way. There will be wars and there will be taxation. We cannot vote to opt out of government. We cannot vote to abolish government. In my opinion, our vote matters very little to our freedom, but it matters a great deal to our bondage. There's a reason why we're encouraged to vote, to engage with the system. If we vote, we take ownership of our government. And if we take ownership, we are more likely to approve of the government. We can now say that we are the government. It is now much more difficult to oppose government. How can we be against ourselves? Voting is a shrewd propaganda technique. It's a variation of the self-sell detailed by Pratkines and Aronson in their excellent book, The Age of Propaganda. Media ad campaigns, government schools, entertainment, culture, and our friends and family proselytize the virtue of voting. Voting is sacred in our culture. Tell someone that you don't vote, and they're likely to disapprove or even scold you for taking for granted what our soldiers and forefathers bled for. Or they might say something like, if you don't vote, you can't complain. When we are angry and dissatisfied with someone, oftentimes if we tell the person how we feel, we will be less angry, even if the person does not change their poor behavior. If we didn't talk to the person, we will be more likely to blow up and end the relationship. Voting is like that. We may be angry and dissatisfied with the government, but voting is our voice. Voting is that relief valve for unrest, so we don't do something rash, like demand an end to government. The two-party system is fantastic for this dynamic. We vote in a Republican for a few terms, and maybe things aren't going so well, so we get pissed and vote in a Democrat for a few terms, and maybe things aren't going so well, so we get pissed and vote back in the Republican. Round and round we go. Democrat and Republican voters fight each other, always sure if they could just get their guy in, things would be better. Meanwhile, nothing changes, and the bankers and politicians continue to feed. True democracy and voting is immoral. Many philosophers and statesmen have written about the tyranny of the majority, where a majority of voters actively oppress minority groups. This would be akin to two wolves and a sheep voting on what to have for dinner. The American Bill of Rights is supposed to protect individual liberties from this tyranny, but it did not stop the income tax, the draft, the drug war, or the more than 300,000 federal laws and regulations that carry criminal penalties. Remember, an ethical choice must include the ability to say no, to opt out. We cannot opt out of government.